So, how many of you are old enough to remember Bob's Big Boy, or is it still around? I don't really know. The home of the Big Boy. Well, you know that logo, the symbol, their mascot, the big chubby uh, mascot out front. Well, I was the chocolate version of that. Yes, I was 5'4" and 5 foot wide. That was my existence. Being the fatso, being the chubby child, was my existence. Now, being called fatso, it was a problem, but I won't say it didn't get to me because as a child, all offenses get to you. I think what irritated me the most was I had another aunt that was a large a large woman, and she used to tell me that we're just alike. We it's not really fat, it's bloat. And I was like, no, this is not bloat, and it's not water retention. This is I'm oversized. I'm fat. I can deal with it. You're not making my feelings any better by pretending like it doesn't exist. It's real. It's real. I hate it. And it wasn't so much because I didn't love me, which being self-conscious, I really did have an issue with me and how I was perceived and how I perceived myself. But the weight kept me from doing things. It irritated me so much. I completely, in my head, I could run faster, I could jump higher, but when I got ready to do it, my body was just not going along with it. And it was the most frustrating thing and most irritating thing. Remember that guy that sits in the dodgeball class or in the arena or surrounding areas when people are playing dodgeball, and suddenly they get hit in the face with the dodgeball? That was me. I mean, to see that ball get small and bigger and bigger and bigger, and bam, right in my face. Okay, besides all the name calling and everything else like that, this happens to me too. And didn't have sense enough to get out of the way, but that's a different issue for a different day. Um, but yeah, the whole weight thing, it got to me. And, I didn't go on any crash diets. I didn't even try to exercise. I just didn't like it. I tried to avoid situations like mirrors so that I wouldn't have to look at it. But you see it, and it gets to you. And I think for me, the biggest challenge was my butt. I had a big old butt. I mean, it was how big was your butt? At 9 years old, my mom would have to buy size 34 men's pants, 34 or 36. I think it was 30. I'm hoping it was 34. And chop them off at the knees, and then take them in at the waist, because of my butt, my thighs. That was me. I was stuck. That was the chubby version of me. At this point in time, I have absolutely no butt, and I wish I could get some of it back. But I'd rather be on this side of the butt line than that one. But it was frustrating. It was frustrating. By the time I got to my first year in high school, I decided that this was enough. I wasn't having this anymore. I didn't try fat diets. I didn't try, like I said, the exercise and so forth. I knew me better than to try to start a regimen of exercise. I have short attention span. I could do it for a week or two, and then I'll start thinking of excuses why not to do it, and that would be over. And I've seen people do the yo-yo dieting. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. And I wasn't going for that either. I decided when I lose weight, it was going to be off, and it was going to stay off, and I would be happier for it, so I thought. So this one day I was, and I do not make, I'm going to say this up front, I do not recommend this to anyone. But my first year in high school, probably like within the first month, I decided this was it. It's done. I'm done. God's not moving fast enough. I have to help him along. So I decided to go on a water diet. And what's a water diet? Every time you get hungry and think about eating, you drink water. Okay? So I did this for 6 days. I started on a Sunday. My mom didn't really realize what was going on. We didn't have that formal sit-down dinner type of thing. It was like, hey, the food is ready. I'm eating. You eat when you want to. It's there. So she wasn't really watching what I ate anymore. So I decided then I'd start on my water diet. I got hungry, I drink water. And I did this, like I said, for 6 days. And on the 6th day, I was in class at school. And I bent over to pick up something. And I couldn't stand up. I was stuck in a bent position. They rushed me to the nurse's station. And the nurse's station, after they saw me, they sent me home. And my mom fixed me a bowl of soup. I threw that up. And then everything was fine. Now, I don't know if one thing had anything to do with the other, but I really believe that I was actually growing taller at that time. Like I said, I was 5'4", and I started having a growth spurt. And so I never gained more weight. I just started growing into my weight. I started growing taller. And I grew, and I was hoping for 6 feet, and stopped short at 5'11" and 3/4. So, I had to stand on my tiptoes a lot. But the thing, like the losing weight, it was kind of a gradual thing. My waist got smaller first. I wound up with a size 30 waist. But I had this big old wobbly butt, and I didn't see, actually, my butt, my thighs, my calves, they were huge. I didn't see my ankles until I was 17. That's the first time we were introduced. But, the bizarre thing about having weight as a child like that, even though you get older and people may not see what you saw, and I would be able to look into a mirror, see that I was much smaller than I used to be, but still have, the second I walk away from, the image of the chubby me would pop back into my head, and that's who I saw. And it was like, for years I was like that. I don't actually think I broke out of that mentality until I was in my late 50s. I constantly saw the chubby child. It's a rough situation to be in. Now, let me clarify this. There are a lot of people who are happy in the state that they are. That wasn't me. If you're happy in the state that you are, don't change. Don't change for anybody. You be you. I just know, for me, it wasn't so much what other people thought of me. It was my inability to do things that I wanted to do. Not that I ever got into sports, because I don't even watch sports even now. But at that time, it was something I really wanted to do, and I knew this was keeping me from doing it. So whether I did anything to change it, or whether it was just a coincidence that when I decided to do something, my body was changing anyway, I don't know. Tell me about your experiences, if you've had any weight experiences, and we'll talk.